scrolled through rental listings and stumbled upon that perfect, secluded getaway. A place that promises peace, quiet, and a break from the noise of modern life. In the fall of 2022, Catherine and Michael, a young couple from Portland, thought they'd found exactly that. They rented a small, rustic cabin nestled beside a creek in a remote part of Oregon, a place called Hollow Creek. The cabin had history. It was built back in 1934 and had been lovingly restored by its owner, who lived 2 towns over. The online reviews were glowing, calling it peaceful, idyllic, and the perfect romantic escape. For Catherine and Michael, it was supposed to be a weekend to reconnect, far from the pressures of their busy city lives. Their first night was everything they'd hoped for. They shared laughter by a crackling fireplace, the gentle sound of the creek, a soothing backdrop to their conversation. Outside, a faint wind whispered through the towering pine trees. It was serene. It was perfect. But perfection in places like Hollow Creek is often a thin veil. Around 2 in the morning, the tranquility was shattered. Catherine woke Michael, her voice trembling. She swore she'd heard something, a whispering sound, faint but distinct, seeming to rise from beneath the very floorboards of the old cabin. Michael, trying to be reassuring, got up to investigate. He checked the room, listened intently, but heard nothing but the rain and the creek. He pressed his ear to the floor, knocking on the aged wood. It was solid, sealed tight the moment he spoke, telling Catherine it was probably just the house settling. The whispering stopped. They tried to dismiss it, blaming the unfamiliar sounds of an old building and their own tired minds. The next morning, they walked out onto the porch to a genuinely unsettling sight. In the damp earth leading from the creek to their doorstep were footprints. They were small, clearly barefoot, and looked disturbingly fresh. There were no other houses for miles around. Who could have been wandering outside their cabin in the middle of the night without shoes? The idyllic image of their getaway was beginning to crack. That night, an unshakable sense of dread hung in the air. Unwilling to be dismissed again, Catherine decided to use her phone to record the ambient sounds of the room. As they tried to sleep, for hours, there was nothing but silence. Then, it started again. The whispers returned. This time, when she played the recording back, the sound was clearer. It was a woman's voice, frail and ethereal, faintly singing a chillingly simple phrase. He never left. The next morning, their fear had solidified into a grim determination. Michael, now thoroughly convinced something was wrong, began a systematic search of the cabin. His focus was the floor, the source of the disembodied voice. In the back corner of the main room, hidden beneath a worn rug, he found it. One of the floorboards was loose. Prying it up, he revealed not the dirt foundation he expected, but a dark, gaping hole and a small, hidden door. He'd found the entrance to the basement, with his phone's flashlight cutting a nervous beam through the darkness. Michael descended the creaking wooden steps. Behind the hidden door was a narrow stone staircase, leading down into a small, cold, underground room. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. Inside this forgotten space, there was an old, rusted iron bed frame, a tarnished mirror with a crack splintering across its surface, and on the damp, crumbling walls, dozens of photographs. They were all pictures of couples, smiling, happy, captured in what looked like this very cabin. But a grotesque pattern emerged. In every single photograph, one of the 2 faces had been meticulously burned away, leaving a blackened, scorched hole where a person used to be. As their flashlight beam danced from one haunting image to the next, it landed on the last one. Catherine let out a strangled gasp. The photo showed the two of them, Michael and Catherine, sitting on the same couch upstairs by the same fireplace. But scrawled at the bottom in faded ink was a date, 1973. Before they could process the impossibility of what they were seeing, a deafening boom echoed through the chamber. The hidden door at the top of the stairs had slammed shut, plunging them into absolute darkness as the impact jarred Michael's flashlight, killing the beam. Panic set in. They were trapped in the room below. In the suffocating dark, Ryan fumbled with his phone, desperately trying to turn its light back on. A faint, silvery glow began to emanate from the other side of the room. It was the antique mirror, its cracked surface now emitting a soft, otherworldly light. As they stared, paralyzed, Ryan's reflection in the glass moved. It blinked a fraction of a second before he did, and then it smiled. A wide, unnatural grin that didn't belong to him. The reflection, no longer just a mirror image, began to pull away from the glass. It stepped forward, emerging from the surface of the mirror as a solid, three-dimensional form, and reached a shadowy hand toward Catherine. Catherine, still clutching her phone, instinctively raised it. The device captured everything in its final moments of recording. The horrifying image of a handprint forming on the inside of the glass. Her own terrified scream, and the instantaneous flicker as both the light from the mirror and the phone as screen died at once. The video ends there, abruptly cutting to black. 3 days passed. When the couple didn't return, authorities were called. Police found the cabin door wide open, the embers in the fireplace still faintly glowing. There was no sign of Catherine or Michael. The only thing left behind was Catherine's phone, lying on the floor of the main room, its battery completely dead. Forensic analysis of the phone's damaged memory card was a long and difficult process, but eventually, they were able to recover a faint audio track buried beneath layers of static from the final seconds of the recording. On it, 2 distinct voices could be heard, whispering the same phrase over and over, their words overlapping in a ghostly echo. "We never left." The owner of the property, horrified by the findings, sealed the cabin permanently and sold the land, moving away without a word. The official story is that the couple simply disappeared, but local hikers and late-night travelers on the nearby road tell a different story. They say that sometimes, on cold October nights, if you look deep into the woods toward where the old cabin stands, you can see a faint light flicker in the window, and if you look closely, you might just see the silhouettes of 2 figures standing silently by the fire.